Hey, great day. Before we get into today's podcast episode, I wanted to let you know that our signature Dope Therapist Academy, How to Manifest a Profitable Private Practice Academy program is now open for enrollment for the summer cohort. So if you are a therapist where you want to and you desire to open up a profitable private practice, if you are a therapist and you want to relaunch your existing private practice so that you can walk in alignment with your true desires, you can manifest the life that you deserve, you don't want any caps on the income that you deserve, and you want to be able to attract your ideal clients and run a business, then I would highly encourage you to go to the link in the show notes and sign up for the Dope Therapist Academy. All right, now let's go into today's podcast episode. Hey, great day, everybody. Welcome. Happy Sunday. This is a definite impromptu live stream today. My name is Dr. TK if you are new here. And today we are going to be talking about, or I guess I'm going to be talking about my journey in terms of where I am right now, of looking at $1.8 million collected in my digital product business to a state of feeling unfulfilled. And so I want to first give you some context into why I decided to do this today live. Um, this topic came up to me when I was working out. And part of my workout regimen is to get clarity, to get clear, and just to, I'm going to say, release, but also for health purposes. Clearly, I go and walk on the treadmill or I go lift weights. Now, truth be told, originally, I was going to come straight back from the gym, go drink my protein drink, and then I was going to do an audio podcast. But every single time that I've done an audio podcast around these chit chats, let's go a little bit deep, I find that after I go back and listen to it myself, I realize that it would have been potentially a little bit more beneficial if I would have done a video version as well, because sometimes people, when they're engaging with the screen and they see facial reactions and just general body language, it hits different and it feels different. And so I'm going to talk about four specific things as it relates to this topic. So I'm going to go over how to ask for help and to be fully transparent and what that meant for myself recently. I'm going to talk about or go over what are some of the things that I realized that I have been missing almost now for 2 years. It's a year and a half, so it'll be 2 years as of January. I'm also going to talk about questioning, am I working too hard? And did I set the goal too high? And we'll talk about money, business money, personal money, future goals, and sometimes honestly running ourselves to the ground. And then fourth, I'm going to talk about pretty much how I'm going to maneuver through this upcoming season. And so let's go to the first one. Where do I need help? And so what I usually do from time to time is I do what's called walk and talk prayer. And this can happen before my workout or after my workout, depending on my day. It's Sunday. We're going to go to church today. We're going to go hang out today because I don't like to say the word need, but I need to get out this house. And so I desire to get out this house. But in terms of questioning, where do I need help? I wanted to give my higher power, God, a disclaimer and say, not that I've been not transparent in the past, but let me just go straight to the point and tell you where I am either questioning or hurting, right? So I had listed out 4 problem areas, and it was just trying to get some clarity around how much money should I be making in my business to bring home, meaning how much does it actually cost for my home to operate? Now, it doesn't mean I don't know these numbers, but from time to time in seasons, as inflation rises, summer is happening, air conditioner, just bills change from season to season. You always want to do, to me, a money date so that you can have a understanding of where your money goes. So I had talked about that, home money is fluctuating because I do live in California and things around us are fluctuating. Our children are getting older. I live in a house full of testosterone, if you know what that means. So we have a 6-year-old, 13-year-old, my husband, and a 24-year-old. And what that means to me is that, appetites are different, needs are different, food consumption at an all-time high. And that can cost when it comes down to filling your pantry, filling your refrigerator, filling your freezer. And I'm bringing that up as an example beyond even pretty much all the adults working from home, which also increases the bills, is that the budget that I may have set up, let's just say in December for now, has fluctuated, right? So, those things, if you are in charge of your finances of your home or you help do the money dates, those things can unintentionally cause a stressor because now you got to sit down and, crunch the numbers. But it is what it is. But I was like, how much money do we need to make per season and for things coming up? I'm a planner. So if we are planning on doing some staycations or vacations, or we want to have like family functions, we'll start back going out to dinner on Sundays and things like that. How much do I need to be putting aside? Meaning, how much do I need to be making? Which means that how much does my business needs to be making? That is the life to me of a CEO, right? That if you're involved in that planning. So I talked to God about that, like, help me, what I'm saying? Like, help me get the focus to sit down to do these numbers with clarity, not anxiety. Okay. So that was one area that I had asked for, and being fully transparent with where I was and what I wanted. And I was watching yesterday and the day before yesterday on Netflix, Selling in London, like those house shows, like Selling in the OC. And when I was looking at these houses, I had told my husband yesterday, now I know why I like the Grand Floridian at Disney World, because I like castles, right? I like big homes. And I found myself realizing that I'm still downplaying what I desire in terms of our next home. I am downplaying it because I'm looking at the homes, for example, near my child's school, and none of those houses meet the house in my head. So I will say, okay, this is going to be my next home. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with having multiple homes even after you're 40. But I just recognize that I'm dreaming small still in certain parts of my life. Then of course, the other area that I had asked for help in is getting a better understanding in the season that my business is in right now, with money being generated, payroll, employee growth in my team, just like business money. Then I also talked about things that are going on inside of our family, whether it be, how to have a deeper intimacy with my husband, or Ann, I'm sorry. And how do we maneuver through chaotic seasons of blended family? I've talked a little bit about that on my podcast. So that's more about family. And I asked for guidance around that. And then I also asked for guidance around my mood irritability, because if you've been following me on my podcast since last year, I have divulged that I had, I would sporadically put it in my podcast episodes, but I would speak to like my mood changing and being in a state of unfulfillment. Okay. So what I first asked for was, can you help me figure out how to maneuver through these different areas: home, business, family, and mood? Okay, so that's all under where do I need help? And the reason I wanted to share that is because if you don't know what you're asking for help for, it's going to defeat the purpose of you receiving the answers or the guidance that you need. Okay. So I felt good even telling God as I was walking to the gym this morning, like, full disclaimer, even though I'm not saying that I'm not transparent any other time, but I need to just put all my on the table. Right. That's how I felt. The second area was what is missing. So when I look at being in a state of unfulfillment, I really started to question, and I've been doing this for a while, like, what is missing from when I was fulfilled to when I am like unfulfilled in certain areas of my life or business right now. So I've had a human designs coach for 2 years now. I meet with her one on one. It's definitely overdue with my session. I used to meet with her probably every 2 to 3 months. And sometimes usually around my launches, but I really went into this year saying that I wanted to meet with her once a month. And the reason for that is that I like the aspect of being able to understand how I show up in correlation to my business and me being aligned with who I am. And one of the things that I learned 2 years ago was, I know that my gift is teaching. I know that my gift is also responding. And I think that when we think about ourselves as being teachers, facilitators, or if you're a therapist like me, you still are teaching someone a skill set, right? Part of that skill set is also your ability and gift to respond to them as they're talking to you. right? But the only way that you can respond is if they are talking to you. So, what my community has heard me speak about a lot in the last 2 years, which has resulted in over time and giving feedback and me shutting down, streams of income, is I know where I thrive. I also know what helps my clients or customers propel in their business, hands down. And what I do know is that when I attract clients who don't mind asking for help, I feel good and they feel better because they got the answer they were looking for. They go out and do their thing and implement it or tell me what did not work, and I'll give them something else, and we'll talk it through. But bottom line is, I realized looking back when I was at my happiest, it was when I was having ongoing communication with, of course, like different clients or different groups of clinicians, not me just talking to myself. And so also I realized what was missing in this season, which definitely as of Friday, a lot of some of it got resolved, but I was feeling a lack of me showing up as a psychologist in my life, because just because I do business coaching doesn't mean that I don't like to do therapy. I just don't prefer to take on a full caseload of individual clients because I really thrive in this season and I love doing workshops and trainings. I love master classes, which is more than likely why I like live streaming over pre-recording. Okay. So what I started talking to my team about is maybe I should get back on a EAP, because what I don't want to do is put myself out there and say, yeah, I'm taking private pay clients, because you don't know what's walking in the door. And at least I can tell EAP clients straight up, and it's their decision if they want to move forward. Your job gave you 5 sessions. We can schedule out these 5 sessions either weekly or every other week. Pretty much that's the max. I'm not going to stretch them out once a month because some people be trying to do that. Nope, I prefer short-term therapy. It's no required diagnoses. Of course, if they have one, we'll give them the diagnosis on paper. I can see more than just the person who came through their EAP. So if the spouse is part of the problem, I can invite the spouse in and see the spouse. So I really love EAP. And that's actually how I started my private practice business, in terms of just understanding paperwork, credentialing, and just, just like getting clients, right? So I had told my team, you know what? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to update my CAQH, the credentialing bank, and I'm going to get back on one of these EAPs, but I need to check in with their rates. So as of Friday morning, that's where I was. I drove down to LA and I went to the nonprofit. And it's very interesting that when you put out there what you really, really want, but that you're also willing to sacrifice to still meet I'm gonna say an internal need, you'll be amazed at how fast God moves, right? So keep in mind, I said, I don't mind taking on a few clients, like 5, EAP, because I just like miss doing therapy. And I know I miss doing therapy because every time I see my as needed clients that are all private pay, I got my notebook, I'm taking notes, I'm juiced up. They feeling like on top of life. And they like, oh my God, I can't wait to our next session. And I'm like, yes. So I know that I'm doing what's in my purpose, right? But it doesn't mean that I need to do it like full time. So I went to the nonprofit, and it just so happened that there were some things that were not in order, but basically it positioned me to talk to the executive director about what I had talked to her about a couple of weeks ago. I'm really good at paperwork. I'm good at quality assurance. And, some people may not like it, but I enjoy it because if you think about it, if somebody does, let's just say the proper intake, we know the proper treatment. When somebody does the proper treatment, they can show up at a job site better and at a work training site better, which is where I come in at with these trainings. And if they get the job, that's a better reflection on the agency if we're looking at like this nonprofit. So I'm like, man, I can help y'all so much with quality assurance. I used to do that at the job that y'all met me at, the county, and they forgot that that's what I did. And so I offered those services, but nobody really followed up with me. And so I brought it to her attention and I said, hey, I would really love to get on the calendar at least 2 times in June to come and help you do quality assurance. And she said, TK, if I could, I have you here every week. So this reminds me of the 1% Instagram effect, where some people don't know how I get down when I'm out of town or when I'm at an amusement park, in public with my family. I don't typically post in person. I mean, in the moment. The only time you will literally catch me posting in the moment, and it still may be a day late, I'm just at the same event, is when it's like a mental health event. So for example, when I go to DC this upcoming week, I'll probably post in the moment, but it'll probably be the next day because I'm in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And so It reminded me of like that 1% Instagram effect where people assume that they know your whole life, or they think they know your whole life based off of a glimpse or a snapshot that they saw in the past, not realizing that people's schedules change, their desires change. So what they didn't know was that last year around this time, and even the year before I was seeing like 21 coaching clients every other week. Last year I had a lot of coaching programs going on at the same time, and then I was also doing the nonprofit, and then I was just busy. And so this year, I literally have way less hours that I work than I like. And when I say way less, I'm working, y'all, like if there's a DTA call, team meeting, an hour, some Loom videos for my team, an hour a week. And then potentially 1 to 2 hours of a coaching call. What is that, like 5 hours? I'm working 5 hours a week. I went from working 60 plus hours, which is too much, to working 40 hours in 2020, to then working 30 hours. I needed to shave off a few. I went from like 35 to 20 to like 5. That's huge. And some people may be like, oh my God, I love that schedule. And I'm like, well, it depends on what you have to do. My children are in school. There's only so much that me and my husband can do like during the day because we like our personal time too. There's only so many times I can go get my hair done, my nails done, get a massage. Like I want to thrive with what I'm good at. And so I let her know my schedule is wide open. And I've been asking to come here, but she doesn't know it because I was asking the team. I'm like, I've been asking to come here every week for the last year, meaning put me consistently on trainings because I am part of like certain programs and grants. And it just hasn't worked out that way for a variety of reasons. So she was like, come and talk to me after you do your training. So do you know that, mind you, I just said I would take on 5 clients, right? So once my training was over, I went to her office with her and her new admin or executive assistant, plus another new supervisor. And we talked, and she put me on the schedule at minimum 1 time per week, starting the first week of June until the end of July. So let me help you understand that on a deeper level. Instead of seeing 5 to 6 clients each week, I can see a group of people. I can do everything that I want at one time that I love and be compensated almost quadruple the amount with less time. I'm winning it. Soon as I got the schedule, I told my team, like, God delivers fast. But you have to be clear about what you want and also be clear about what you don't want. And I actually told them I do not desire to really see one-on-one clients. But if this schedule don't pan out and I don't get no consistency, I'll pick up a few clients because it's short term, right? So you want to look at, if you're feeling in a state of unfulfillment, what is actually missing. And if you're having a hard time answering that question, go back and reflect on when you were on the up and up, when your cup was in overflow. And I'm just not talking about money, I'm talking about internal feeling. And ask yourself what's different now. Okay. So that's clinical work and me knowing that I respond well to questions, right? Another area in which I was missing in terms of questions is I know that I create better in 2 different areas in terms of content. For example, this live stream, AKA podcast. I create well when I'm storytelling, meaning I can reflect on something that I have accomplished, and or depending on what it is, like right now, I will share what I'm going through because I know, honestly, I'm not the only one, and you don't have to be a therapist to understand this. I know I'm not the only one feeling not fulfilled in one or more areas of my life. I know it, but people are not talking about it. Maybe because it's a taboo topic. Maybe because, as a therapist, for example, I have a doctorate degree. Some people are so far up their ego that they have so much pride that they don't want to talk to anybody, or they feel like they have no one to talk to. So I'm gonna be like, I ain't never said this on the podcast, but I will say it here because I'm gonna say it when I get on stage in DC, because this is one of the panels that they asked me to be on. I talk to my friend all the time about, I probably should really go see a therapist for like this, right? Or in the past for something, right? And by the grace of God, things have worked themselves out through other mentorship or resources. But I always wonder, like, I wonder what would be different if I saw an actual therapist for certain areas, right? So my friend says, like, why don't you go find one? And I said, here's the thing. Because of the way I see therapists move online, the things that I hear in therapist circles, the things that I see in Facebook groups. And honestly, I'm not saying I got 1 million followers, but I do have a good percentage of therapists who know who I am. Not everybody, but because of the epidemic of the accessibility of social media, and I don't know if I'm the only one, I get a little paranoid when it comes down to finding a therapist that can serve me with, because I'm gonna tell them what I do, because my husband was like, can you figure out a way not to tell them what you do so they can just like treat you? And I saw this somewhere online this week. Somebody did a Q&A, like a person who serves therapists, and somebody had said in the Q&A, I'm seeing my therapist and they don't even know I'm a therapist, therefore the treatment is bomb.com. And I'm like, yes. You know what I'm saying? But at some point, if I, for example, talk about what I'm talking about now, they're going to ask, well, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm not going to lie. And what I have in as a narrative in my head, based off of what I've seen therapists unfortunately do on social media, is it's like, are you going to try to find me on Instagram? You know what I'm saying? Are you going to tell your therapist friend, like, oh, girl, guess who I'm seeing? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that run through my head. And again, I know I'm not the only one. So am I saying that I'm against therapy? Absolutely not. I'm just very careful about who I choose. For example, me and my friend got like a specific description of the type of therapist that we want to see. I want to see somebody who's hella seasoned. And I'm not talking about just being in the game for 10 years. I'm talking about like double to triple my age. Because if they double to triple my age, they probably ain't on Instagram anyway. Okay. I don't actually need somebody to be black based off what I want to talk about. I just need somebody to be culturally competent and sensitive. Okay. So I just wanted to say that because I know I'm not the only one who probably could benefit at some point in your life in terms of therapy, but what's stopping you? Right. And can you find alternatives? I'm not saying something will replace therapy, because if something is, damaging you to move forward and things like that, yeah, you need to go seek somebody. But some of you may find other alternatives or coping mechanisms. Do whatever you got to do, but take care of yourself is the bottom line, right? So yeah, I'm not the only one. Thank you. So I do better and I create better content also when this is still under what I'm missing. Okay. So I realize that I do better and create more when my audience can get out of their head and just simply ask me questions. So my community have seen me like beat this topic to the ground. I'm like, y'all ain't got no questions. So what we're starting to do as of the first call in June, for example, in DTA, outside of me having regular prompts like, what are your wins? Here are the announcements. What questions you have? And if there are no questions, I'm getting off the call. I'm not about to sit there and make up something. The only time I will bring something externally from the outside is if something is happening in our market. Okay. So hold on for a second. Okay, had to ban somebody because they being inappropriate in the chat box. All right, so all right, so I've noticed that I do better with Q&A. How have I been able to cater to that? Well, 2 years ago, I started to offer Voxer. Initially, it was only offered to mastermind students who have been working with me for already like 2 to 4 years because they were in other programs before then. And they may not have needed the Zoom call. They just needed to talk when they wanted to talk. And then I'll respond within 1 to 2 business days. And so half of them did Voxer and said, I don't need the rest of the Zoom calls for the rest of the year. I'm just going to do Voxer. Cool. Then I started clearly incorporating Voxer in a variety of ways in other programs. I also recognize that I love live streaming. It's something about, even if somebody's not watching live, it's something about somebody's still ability to respond to me if they are watching live that lights me up. But I can always do a masterclass, webinar, podcast, literally talking to myself. But I think it's something about me streaming live like a webinar versus me recording to like my camera pre-recorded, right? So I also realized that Zoom, I'm zoomed out, not 100%, but it just means that I have chosen, me and my team, to decrease the amount of Zoom calls with my community. So for the most part, every community as a group get me 1 to 2 times a month. Most programs get me once. Some programs, DTA gets me twice, right? But some months they may only get me once. It depends on the topic and if we have a guest speaker coming in. But the reason why I'm sharing that with you is that if something is not sitting well with you, you want to tap into why. Because sometimes we assume because this is a way that we've been operating in the past, that's the way we have to continue to operate. And sometimes that's how I think too, because I forget, like, yo, I've changed, I've evolved, my interest has also changed, and my clients have evolved. New people are coming in and their mindset is different. And so I don't believe it's fun to conduct faceless coaching on Zoom, meaning I don't get a thrill of knowing someone's there and I'm supposed to be able to see their face and I cannot, right? So I've chosen to minimize my Zooms. Therefore, live streaming is there is no expectation that you have to show your face because you either there live or you there later, you know? So I believe if I'm going to talk to myself, I might as well do something like this and not have to worry about, hey, you there? Because I kid you not, we've had breakout sessions and it bothers me so much where me and my team are checking in about what we're going to do the second half of the call, but it's like 1 to 2 to 3 people still sitting in the call with us because they haven't went out to their breakout session. Well, why is that? Probably because they're not really on the call. Maybe they hopped on simultaneously while they're at work. None of this is conducive to what they're going to get from that call, right? So again, when I recap on what I'm missing, I look at my gift to respond. I told y'all about the EAP, then converted over to let me just do workshops because that's what I really enjoy anyway. I started tapping into Voxer and offering that more. I've decreased Zooms. So now the third topic is, am I working too hard? So this is the question that I actually have embedded technically in the dream schedule in DTA. Now, if you're in DTA, I would ask you to review that almost every quarter. It doesn't mean you have to do the whole module section over, but you should be reviewing your schedule to see how closer you are to the ideal schedule that you have. And also note that when you create your dream schedule for the next year, that year may change by the time next year comes. So give yourself grace. And so while I was on the treadmill, I did an activity and I asked myself, how much does it cost to run my home? So I looked at my Excel sheet, like it's in a, like I was walking on a treadmill, like 2.5, right? So 30 minutes, I can multitask. So as I'm doing this, what really prompted me to do it is I was re-watching my family vlogs. So when I am feeling down, I find that I get joy when I look at joyous times, which is why, even though it may not have anything to do with like what it does, but some people may not see it that way, like teaching you how to leverage your time and have a profitable business so that you can spend time with your family. Some people don't see the correlation because they're only looking for the templates or just the quick answer. I upload my family vlogs just so that people can know also that a mentor can be a human. I can put up a Christmas tree. I can go to Walt Disney World and enjoy it as a 40-something-year-old woman with my family. I can surprise my family and put them in a better resort. You know what I'm saying? Like those things are fun, but those are also some things that people have desires for their family or their kids. And so while I was watching that, I'm like, I want to get back to this, but am I working too hard right now? Which is why I sometimes feel flustered. I can't focus. So I thought about, and this is something you can ask yourself, how much does it actually cost to run your home and just overinflate it just a little bit? Now, this is very different than credit. I call it leverage wealth. I didn't count credit. That's another category because to me, there's a difference between what's necessary and then something that could just be paid off and you ain't got to run it back up again, kind of thing, right? So that's home. I also asked myself, how much does it cost for me to run my business? And I looked at it from operations, payroll, and then paying myself. How much is that total gross? And then I said to dream big, let's just calculate how much does all this cost, home and business, until December? 6 months. Because what the money people will tell you is that you should have 6 months saved up for a rainy day. So I'm always thinking in 6 month increments as it relates to money. So when I looked at the number, and I actually came up with this number like 2 weeks ago too. When I look at this number, I'm like, why the hell am I working so hard? Why am I trying to, I'm not going to say launch too much because I'm actually not launching as much as I used to, but why am I beating up on myself when I don't get the results that I want? Because the number that I came up with is 25% of the amount that I said I wanted to make. I'm just going to, so let me just make this clear. If I said I wanted to make $1 million cash in 1 year, in order for me to hit my business goal, personal goal, and stack up money and pay off debt, I only need 20% of that. I'm hella overthinking and overworking, but that's something maybe that I need to put on a vision board and say, this is how much you need. And then, is there another number you desire if there's something on this list of your life that is not included? So, like, I added an extra vacation, I added some shopping money. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not really into shopping. I'm really more into life experiences, but I like my jewelry, but I don't have like a full vision board like I used to of material goods because I got them, the ones that I wanted. And there's nothing that has piqued my interest where it's not going to collect dust on my like back here. Like I'm so not into that. Like I'm gonna wear a hat or not a hat, a purse for one time. I'm straight. so, so when I came up with those numbers, I looked at how much does it cost to run my home. So you can write this down if you would like. How much does it cost to run my business? And then I times both of those numbers by 6. How much do we have in business leverage credit or capital that we owe? How much do I have in personal credit that I owe? And then also, don't forget this. How much do you want to stack away for taxes? Personal and business. Okay. And so I came up with that number and then I added an extra like $35,000 because I said, oh, I want a vacation or wherever we're going, I want to increase like this experience. I want to have this amount of money for maybe the kids to get like shopping because they're growing like a lot, right? I want them to go back to like their monthly allowance for shopping. And I'm not talking about Jordans. I'm talking about basic necessities like Avery needs shorts, right? The oldest kid needs some sweats and some hoodies that he like, right? But then also I want to stack up for a new home. So how much do I want? I mean, I know how much I need, but what is my first goal, right? So like I said, it was 20% of the number that I had in my head. And I'm like, nah. So what I did is I doubled the number because that is the number that I desire because I don't ever want to have just enough. I want to have more than enough because as I start doing experiences in life, other things may be placed in front of me and I don't want to have to say no because it wasn't planned, right? So then I went into with how much, am I working too hard? I started to think about like, and God actually told me this as I was doing my walk talk prayer. What is it that you love? Like, I want you to make a list of what you love. So I'm going to share my list. For most of you, it won't be new because you see this featured at least in my highlights on Instagram if you want to take a look. So things that I love. First, it was categorical. Then I started getting specific. And this isn't everything, but this is something that I came up with just walking on a treadmill, right? Because I was watching my family vlogs and it made me smile. It made me tear up like, oh my God, I want that experience again. So again, this can help you get out of that funk of unfulfillment. So what's the opposite? I love to travel. I love to travel first class. I love Disney World. I love Disneyland. I love staying in nice resorts and hotels. I love capturing footage of me and my family on the trip so we can have something to look back on like a family vault. I love live streaming. I love hosting master classes. I love abundance chats, like even on the audio podcast or on Instagram or like really in the stories. I love creating digital products. Y'all, I created a whole ebook like yesterday. I came up with the idea like 3 months ago and I was sitting on the couch and I'm like, I'm bored, And so what did I do? I just sat down, looked it up in Google Doc, fixed it, carried it over to Canva. I could have delegated this, but it brought me joy, right? So I created it. I like creating digital products. I love training on mental health. I love being outdoors as long as I don't mess with my allergies. I love being on the beach. I love the sand. I love Hawaii, specifically Disney Alani and walking down Waikiki Beach, like the mall and stuff. I love specific locations. Like if we're talking about Disney, Walt Disney World, I love the castle, Grand Floridian Resort. I love the Polynesian. It feels like Hawaii, but just in Florida. I love, like I said, Disney Alani. I love London. I love Paris. I love being a Magic Key Pass holder for Disneyland. I want to become one for Disney World, even though I don't live in Florida. I love ordering online with ease because I really don't enjoy going to the mall no more. I go to take one for the team with my family, but I really don't like to go because I don't like to go in and out every store no more. Like, just give me what I need. Like on Christmas, I knew exactly what I was looking for. It did create me having to go in multiple stores, but I went as soon as the mall opened. I was done in an hour and a half, and I shopped for everybody last minute who I didn't capture a couple of weeks before. Okay. So I love shopping online with ease. I love filling my pantry with a lot of groceries. I love dining out with my family, whether it's fine dining or let's just go grab something to eat, but let's get out the house and eat there, even if it's ice cream, right? I love putting on or being a part of holiday functions. I love decor. I love picking the menu. I love hosting like the games, all that stuff. If we're talking about business, I love Boxer. I love answering questions. I love hosting masterminds. I love getting my hair done, my nails done. I love massages. When was the last time you listed out what you love? Think about that. If you feel any area of your life is lacking, instead of only focusing on what's missing, you want to focus on what is on the other side. Okay. So when I did that, I'm like, this list is long. And if I look at it like a to do list, it's just like, oh, now it's overwhelming. So I then decided to say, okay, well, how does this break down categorically? Because that's going to give me a better understanding of maybe what I should focus on, first. So categorically, and this probably shouldn't be a surprise as I've said it multiple times, is I enjoy live events. I enjoy big events, putting them on, but I prefer more intimate events, like up to 20 people. Like my sweet spot is 8 minimum, max 22. Like that, like because everybody can get to know each other literally and work with one another versus it being 50 to 100. Don't get me wrong, the conferences were fun, but it was a lot to put those on. And sometimes I just want to say, hey, in the next 60 days, I'm about to be going to Vegas. I'm about to go to Florida. I'm about to be at home in LA. Who want to join me? Like that's where I'm at right now. Right. But what I realized was that is one of the biggest things that's missing from me being fulfilled. So I don't host mastermind events anymore. Categorically also was responding to questions. Well, I'm lacking in that area as well if no one is asking questions. And I think that therapists are tired or they're overwhelmed. And just speaking to other people that I collaborate with, a lot of therapists are overextending themselves and investing in multiple courses, mentorship, and coaching all at the same time. Therefore, they're breaking down behind closed doors. Now, that's nobody's fault, but like it's your responsibility to know what season you're in and what's the one thing that you should focus on so that you can ask questions to get your needs met, right? Because either way it go, on one of them programs, you're losing money. Okay. So if I'm not able to respond to questions, then I'm also in lack. Okay. Another category was I enjoy content, live streaming specifically. Now, that isn't something necessarily that I'm lacking. It's just more, I need to do more of it. And I enjoy like impromptu stuff like this. I ain't got to be fully like made up and stuff like this. Well, I'm not fully made up, but I'm just saying like I ain't got to have makeup on and stuff just to like talk to y'all. Another category was travel. Now, a lot of my travel in the last 3 years have been wrapped around my business. So because I no longer have the mastermind events, I no longer have as many trips because I enjoyed double dipping. I would really only go on two trips that had nothing to do with business. However, I still created content, right? But I enjoy meeting clients for half of the trip or like 1 or 2 days. And then on the back end, hanging out with my family. That's fun to me because when you do what you love, it doesn't feel like work to me, right? So travel was missing or is missing. I missed Sunday dining. So me and my husband made a plan to go to church today, and then we're gonna go hang out today with our youngest son. And then the last category was self care. Now, again, self care is not lacking, but it is lacking when it comes down to consistency. I'm hit or miss because of my mood. Okay. So, what does all this mean as I am sharing what I am missing and what I love? These were my aha moments, like takeaways. Is I need to just simply focus on the people who do want to participate in what I have to offer. That can include online services or live events. And I know that it works. It's just not I'm doing it for me because I know that it has worked for other people. I just know that I clearly have to be patient to have those people show up, right? I also believe that I am like the Chanel, the Louis Vuitton, the Hermes of my brand. And what that means is that I cater to a very boutique clientele. I am not that person where I'm chasing quantity over quality. I would prefer 5 quality clients. And this is something y'all want to think about, even if you have like your service-based business. Would you rather have 50 clients because you just got to pay your rent or mortgage? Or would you rather have quality clients that can still pay your bills and you feel good after every session? That's how I want to feel. That's how I felt in the past. But again, with lack of hours, because some things have slowed down, or I shut them down because there's no clientele there, at least right now. I'm just like, okay, like I need to fix that. Okay. Also, I'm in a season where I want to attract those who see the value in the services that will elevate their mindset, their bank account, their business, their lifestyle, and also not be afraid to invest in the future version of themselves. I think that some people in entrepreneurship have lost that, and they are focusing on, what do I need right now? I need that quick money right now. And what did me and Marisa talk about on Friday, if you caught that live? When I asked her what is the biggest red flag that she's seen, she said people are leaving their jobs too quickly. And it doesn't have to be a job for some of y'all. Some of y'all have decreased a stream of income too quickly. You know what I'm saying? And so without creating any proper foundations for the streams of income that you desire to focus on. And so and I've said it multiple times, y'all know this about me. I am not about taking every single person. Sometimes some people will think that I'm talking them out of my product or service, and I am, because you're not a good fit. If I am not your cup of tea, don't coach with me. I've been saying that for years, right? But I know that some people also may assume how I'm like, and they have no idea like what we're like in coaching calls. Like, just the getting this with me right now, that's like 99.9% of all of our calls, all of our live events, outside of me like, A plus B equals C, here's the teaching. All right, let's go. Let's have some fun. Where's my money? And I let them play. Like my mastermind students, they played last year, Who Got My Money? And that game was so fun. That was like the icebreaker when we were in Vegas, right? So what I also thought about was, I went to a live event with one of my mentors last April, and we did a lot of mindset work in there. And on one occasion, they had us close our eyes, do like a guided meditation, and they had us pick like a color. And even though I like pink, it was like that bright pink. It's something about that bright pink, like vibrant, live. And I was like, oh my God, like I was trying to go soft, but in my vision, I got like hot pink with like confetti, like celebration. And so what they had asked is for us to think about a time where we were winning in our business, and how was our mind constructed at that time compared to maybe now, because a lot of us are in our head. And, a couple of people shared. There was about 400 people in the room. So I'm not afraid of raising my hand. And so I raised my hand and I said, my biggest aha moment right now, excuse my language, but the biggest aha moment was, I was winning in my business the most when I didn't give a F about the outcome. And what I mean by that, it doesn't mean we didn't have goals. It doesn't mean that I wasn't caring about like reaching the outcome. But what it meant was, if I sat down and said, like for my very first live event out of town, well, it wasn't the first one, but it was one in Vegas. And it was during 2020. So if I said, I'm going to sell out 11 spots in Vegas, I'm going to go to the Aria, I'm going to get this room that I ain't ever seen before that they won't let us see because it's a pandemic and they can't unseal the door, because you used to be able to like ask for a tour of those rooms. And I did that before 2020. And then when it hit, they wouldn't let me. So I'm like, I really hope this room looked like the way it looked online. But I said, I'm going to sell out all spots. Guess what happened? I sold out in 7 days, right? I said, I'm going to have a mastermind, and I don't know how, because that's not my job, but I'm going to get 21 students in my mastermind, period. Guess how many I got? 21, right? DTA, my very first group cohort, I'm going to get 12 therapists, and this is how they're going to look. This is their titles. Made a vision board. How many did I get? 12. Next cohort, I want 16. This is where I want them to come from. This is what I want them to do when they come into DTA, X, Y, and Z in a business. How many did I get? 16. Manifestation is a real thing. And I can say that sometimes I get so far away from it, primarily because I'm in my head. And also, this was a big one. And I don't intend for this to like jab anybody, but I'm just going to say it, because this is something you want to think about too for service. There's nothing wrong with continuing to serve the same group of clients over and over, especially if you have what they desire or what they need for their business, whatever. But you should not get caught in that cycle with getting comfortable and not going to meet new clients. So what I told my team, I was doing a lot of surveys in the beginning of the year, trying to figure out, I really wanted to do a live event, and we sent out a survey. Like 30 people said they're in, they knew the price point, they knew the date. And then when I put it out, it was just like crickets. A few people emailed us and said they were interested. Some people emailed us and said they weren't, but most people, it was like crickets. And I'm like, this was just like 5 days ago that y'all said y'all wanted this, and you knew what the investment was, right? So I was like, all right, I guess we're not going to have a live event. So we canceled it. And we just told the people who were interested, it's not enough to have the mastermind experience for you to get out what you're putting in terms of the investment. Like to me, we can have a mastermind with 3 people, but we cannot have a mastermind with 2. Right. And some people were available, but not on those dates. And I'm like, I can't meet everybody's need. Right. And so bottom line is I told my team because they were like, oh, this person said this person said they don't want a virtual thing, they want in person. And I said, let's be clear. And I didn't talk to my team at this, but I was just like, this is what we're not going to do. We are not going to continue to run our business and take feedback from people who have never invested in our products or services. Because if they're voting and saying, oh yeah, y'all should come here for a live event, but you ain't did nothing with us that costs $1, no. Like I'm not taking your vote seriously, especially if I can look up your name in our CRM system and you have went to 5,000 boot camps. You have went to live streams about live events, so whether it's growing a private practice, scaling a private practice, digital products, all these things, and you ain't got nothing to help you, but you say that it's helpful. No, I'm not going to build my business off of people who want to milk me for free information. It is fine if you want the free information, but just know where you stand and don't vote if you're not going to participate, right? Um so that was one thing I told my team is that we're not going to continue to take like feedback from people who, especially for like live events, who just have not it's hard for me to explain it, but bottom line is like if you ain't did nothing and you've been with us for like 3 to 4 years rocking on our list and seeing all this stuff and you've been invited to plenty of events, I'm not going to hold that to wait. You know what I'm saying? Another thing that I told them is that we're also not going to consistently change the date for live events based on a alumni student and then they turn around and still don't pay. We've done that. One of those live events were just that. Some of the alumni said, "Oh yeah, I want to come. I'm down. I wanted to do something after the conference anyway, or I couldn't come to the conference, etc." And then when it was time to secure their spot, I can't go, like whatever the case may be. And I'm just like, nah. So why am I sharing this with you? I am going to take this approach. And if you are feeling unfulfilled, by all means, you can run this video back, this podcast back, and you can go over the following. Be very clear about what you need help in. Like I talk to God. So this is what I need help in all areas of my life. What am I currently missing that's making me feel unfulfilled? Am I working too hard? Did I set the goal too high? Let me look at my actual numbers because maybe I'm doing too much, right? Because in doing too much declutters your brain so that you can't think about the areas that you should be thinking and moving on, right? And then the last area is, what are you going to do about it? So that's when you should list out what are things that I love. And you want to look at that list and categorize it so that you can, look at it in percentages to see like, damn, like for mine, it was like I was only doing 20% of the 100. No wonder why I'm unfulfilled after making all this money. Money, and I always say like money doesn't make people happy, but money is a tool to help me be happy. You feel me? And money for me allows me to do more for my community. So I love money. Don't get it twisted. But I want to make sure that I'm earning money that is aligned with how I want to show up. Right. And so this is how I'm moving forward. On my walk home, I'm like, okay, God, bet I'm about to do an act as if, right? So my content is going to be in the mode of acting as if. I'm still going to show up and like me, but you, depending on who you are and what your need is in terms of why you choose to tune into my content, you may either align with it or it may repel you. I don't know. But all I'm saying is my act as if is going to include, I'm going to imagine that the people who I want to serve are already listening. And that might be you. I'm going to talk to you as though if I want to put out a live event, you already going. If I want to put out a digital ebook, you already buying it. Like whoever it is meant for, they're going to find me, is what I'm saying. I'm already going to act as if they see me. Confidence at an all-time high. Because again, when I look back at my wins, I didn't care about if it was going to flop. I wouldn't know if it was going to flop until I did it. And I finished it. And it did not flop because I said it will not flop. And I'm going to be successful. Nowadays, I sometimes second guess my ability to succeed in certain areas in my business, right? But it was because I was potentially even taking feedback from people who have no desire to do what I'm talking about anyway. So it's like taking your family members' advice, or better yet, it's like I'm married and I tell people like it's okay to talk to single friends, but single friends can't tell me what to do in my marriage. You shouldn't even know what happens in my marriage outside of like we go on vacation. You're not about to hear about my problems in my marriage. Like that's between me, my husband, and God, and potentially another married, happy couple. If it's parenting, I'm gonna talk to parents who love to parent, right? So don't take advice from people who ain't willing to put in that work or who cannot identify. Okay. Another area of acting as if is I'm going to imagine that if I want to have a live event, they're already ready to meet me in person. So I don't have no call to action like right now. I just wanted to come on here to share with you for probably it's not the first time, but I could count on my hand how many times I've done it like this, where it's been in the moment. Let me tell you what's been going on in my mind. There is no script with coaching. I mean, yeah, I probably dropped some gems. I'm sure I did. But I'm like, if you see me looking to the side and stuff, I'm literally looking at my notepad that I was on my phone on my iPhone. Okay. And so I hope that by me sharing this, it also instilled some hope and some light into you if you are feeling unfulfilled. Okay. So again, I don't have no call to action. If you are wondering, well, damn, is she going to drop something? I can tell you what I got going on right now. So, in terms of announcements, Dope Therapist Academy is open. The link is in the bio on Instagram, or you can go to drtk.com/links. DTA is open. We are going to drop something. And when I say me, it's me and my team. I am going to drop something around digital product ideas for therapists. It's something that I was putting on Instagram and then I stopped. And so I have the whole ebook. I just need to get it taken a look at to make sure it is grammatically appropriate. And then I will go ahead and put it out for you to get it. I will be in DC on the East Coast this upcoming week. And I do want to have another live event. And it will not be a conference. It will be a mastermind. Where will it be? I don't know. When will it be? I don't know. How long will I have to like sign up? I don't know. Like I've put on live events in 60 days. I've put on live events in 30 days. I put on live events in 1 year. So the people who are meant to be there, they're going to sign up. If you want to hop over my DM and tell me what you're actually interested in, cool. But if you tell me your interest, don't just tell me your interest and just hope I create it for other people. Tell me the interest that you have in which you're a green lighter, meaning you are looking for it. And if I provide it or if it's in my plan, then I'll share it at some point. But all I will say is if you are watching on YouTube, just subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified because I'll probably come on here. Anytime I have big announcements, I typically announce it live stream anyway. I am putting more energy on YouTube versus streaming on Instagram directly, meaning I'm looking at the camera because Instagram is playing games. Anytime that I may even put that I'm streaming over here, it like nobody sees it. so, uh, so I'm putting more attention over here because I also just like the platform. You can get on and get what you need and get off. You don't have to feed into a specific type of algorithm that changes every 5 seconds. You can grow on Instagram, don't get me wrong. But that's just not where my energy is right now. I really want to go on a platform that fits how I want to show up and I like to teach. And so I like the horizontal. I like to be able to share slides if I want to. This platform that I'm on right now gives me the ability to pull people on the screen if I so desire. But if you're listening live, let me know how you enjoyed this. I know some people are hopping in and out. Do you have any questions? Is there something in particular that you want to put here that you are looking for help? Because I've done a lot, but I've also removed a lot. But some things are going to be coming back. And that's just what it is. All right. So if no questions, everybody have a happy Memorial Day. Again, if you're interested in the academy, you can binge watch the boot camp. The boot camp is going to be available until this upcoming Friday at midnight. So as of Saturday morning, everything's going to be taken down as it relates to the boot camp. DTA will be closed. When is it going to open again? I don't know. As of right now, considering this whole live, I really don't know. Okay. So if you want to get in, get in. I'm not going to do no suggestions. If you want to get in, get in. We literally had a promotional calendar and it got scrapped as of last week. in terms of certain things, specifically DTA. It doesn't mean we're not going to offer it again. It's just that the dates that we were going to offer it is looking a little different. Okay. And it ain't gonna be nothing like, oh, we offering it next month. That's what some people thinking. Because the beginning of the year, we did it a lot with like webinars and boot camps. But I did this big boot camp for a reason because I knew that we were taking a little break. All right. So if you have any questions, you can put them on here. I will comment. I think YouTube, you will only be able to comment if you're like signed in or something. So if you comment even later, I will be able to go back into my YouTube studio and comment back. So feel free to ask questions here. If you want to head over to Instagram and communicate with me over there, you can. But I would just highly encourage you to put it over here because I check this one more frequently because I just went live here. So y'all have a good Memorial Day. You all have a great rest of your week. Enjoy your day off if you are taking off tomorrow. And I will tap in with some behind the scenes of the DC trip. So all my behind the scenes are going to be on Instagram in the stories. I more than likely am not going to be posting on the thread. Just catch me in the stories. And I know y'all like to party with me. So when I go out of town or I get out this house, I'm lit. And so that's why I'm like, I need to get out. So if you always want to like know what is happening, I would say check stories and check YouTube. Okay. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.